Extending a very warm welcome to you all, students. Today in the writing skills, we'll try to understand the concept of story writing. First of all, we should know what is a short story. A short story is a work of fictional narrative prose with a few characters, limited setting, and a major event. A short story is a work of fictional narrative prose with a few characters, limited setting, and a major event. A short story is meant to be read in a single sitting. Students, story writing is an art that requires a lot of communication skills and imagination. First of all, it requires the art of narrating things in an interesting way. You will be given either the introductory lines or some hints or both. You have to develop the story based on the input or the introductory lines. Now, we should understand the key elements for story. A short story has 5 key elements. To begin with, the first one is characters. There may be 2 or 3 main characters in a story. Even the narrator can be a part of the story. The story revolves around them. Setting, the time frame or the place. We have read many stories about our kings, including their kingdom and all. It may be of present times also. It may be set in a city or even a jungle with animals as the characters. Then comes the plot. Plot is the term used to describe the events that make up a story or the main part of a story. These events relate to each other in a pattern or a sequence. It should be as simple and as interesting as possible. Then, conflict. It is the struggle between the two sides of the theme of the story, between good or bad. A conflict in a story creates and drives the plot. If there is nothing to overcome, we have no story. Theme. The central idea or the main belief of the story is the theme. I hope you understood all the key elements. Now we will try to understand this with an example. Given below is an outline of a story in which a disciple is expecting the visit of God. Develop a complete story on the basis of the input given. Also state the moral of the story. Now I'll read out the outline for you all. God's promise to a disciple to visit her. Disciple cleans her house and waits for God. Poor old lady knocks her door. Disciple doesn't help her. Tells her not to waste her time. Next, beggar comes at her doorstep. She doesn't entertain him either. Finally, a child knocks her door. She sends him away too. Dreams of God that night. God tells him that he had come thrice at her doorstep, but she didn't bother. Lady disappointed. Moral. Now we have an outline of a short story. With the outline, we can make up the kind of story we have to interpret or we have to develop through it. We will take all the lines that have been given. We will try to include them in our story and then develop a story. Also remember to give a heading to your story always. It is very important to start your story with a heading or a topic until and unless it is otherwise it is incomplete. And also we'll end the story with a moral. The heading, God coming home. God promised a devoted disciple that he would visit her that day. She felt very happy. She started cleaning her house. She mopped, cleaned, polished, and scrubbed every nook and corner of the house. Then she sat and waited for God desperately. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. She was very excited to see God standing at her doorstep. When she opened the door, she found a poor, hungry old lady asking for alms. She point blank refused to talk to her, saying, "Go away, don't waste my time. I'm waiting for someone special. I'm waiting for God." The old, helpless lady left disappointed. After some time, there was another knock at the door. She opened the door, thinking that this time it has to be God at her doorstep. To her utter dismay, when she opened the door, she saw a beggar standing there. He was looking tired, helpless, and hungry. He asked for something to eat. "Don't waste my time, you old beggar." The old woman replied, "Can't you see? I'm expecting to see God any moment now. Go away and come back another day." She slammed the door at his face. The beggar turned back with tears in his eyes. There was a third knock at the door. The woman ran to open up the door to welcome God. To her surprise, she saw a hungry child standing outside. He was crying and his clothes were torn. The woman lost her temper and scolded the child for ringing her doorbell unnecessarily. Again, she slammed the door angrily. As evening approached, there was no sign of God. She went to bed with a heavy heart. God came in her dream and said, "I knocked at your door 3 times, and every time you slammed the door at my face." The woman was shocked to hear this and repented her behavior. Moral: God resides in every human being. Now, children, I hope you understood the concept of developing a story. You know how to write a short story, the key elements, and what a short story is. I hope you will do good in your assignment. Good luck.